Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday, November 27th still. It's about 10 minutes till 11 p.m. And I am back in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 20. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. Chapter 20, verse 1. Now Pashur, the son of Emmett, the priest, who was also the chief governor in the house of the Lord, heard that Jeremiah prophesied these things. Alright, now, Pashur, what it means is most noble, and it's an Aramaic name. Emmett is talkative. So, Pashur had a talkative dad. But let's find out more about him. Because, he heard about what Jeremiah prophesied, and he didn't like what he heard, too. Then Pashur smote Jeremiah in the prophet, and put him in the stocks that were in the high gate of Benjamin, which was by the house of the Lord. Now, right here, when God ordains somebody, and they're set aside, whether they're a prophet or not, you are not to touch his anointed. Never touch God's elect. Verse 3. And it came to pass on the morrow that Pashur brought forth Jeremiah out of the stocks. Then said Jeremiah unto him, The Lord hath not called thy name Pashur, but Megar-Mishabib. And this word Megar-Mishabib, it means terror on every side. Because God is going to bring terror on every side of Pashur. The king of Babylon is coming. For thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will make thee a terror to thyself and to all thy friends. And they shall fall by the sword of their enemies, and thine eyes shall behold it. And I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall carry them captive into Babylon, and shall slay them with the sword. Now, at the time, this is where Zedekiah was killed, him and all his sons. The king of Babylon had their eyes plucked out, fed them like a dog, eventually killed them. You could read about it in 2 Kings chapter 25. But anyways, when all this happened, Jeremiah, the king of Babylon, let him go. God utilizes both armies of Satan and his own. But Jeremiah, from this point, takes Zedekiah's 4 daughters. They went to Egypt, okay? And then eventually settled into Europe. Now, one of the daughters of Zedekiah, her name was Skota. Skota and Jeremiah, they settled in Scotland. Skota, Scotland. You got the tribe of Levi, Judah, and Simon. And I got 15% Scotland in my DNA. Kind of wondering if that's where that 1% of Judah comes in my DNA. But anyways, let's go on to verse 5. Moreover, I will deliver all the strength of this city, and all the labors thereof, and all the precious things thereof, and all the treasures of the kings of Judah will I give into the hand of their enemies, which shall spoil them, and take them, and carry them to Babylon. 6. And thou, Pashur, and all that dwell in thine house shall go into captivity, and thou shalt come to Babylon, and there thou shalt die. And he was drugged there, and thou shalt be buried there. thou and thy friends to whom thou hast prophesied lies. Yeah. 7. O Lord, thou hast deceived me. This is Jeremiah speaking. And I was deceived. Now I'm going to correct this. This word is persuaded. O Lord, thou hast persuaded me, and I was persuaded. Thou art stronger than I, and hast prevailed. I am in derision daily. Everyone mocketh me. 8. For since I spake, I cried out. I cried violence and spoil, because the word of the Lord was made a reproach unto me, and a derision daily. Now, when you have a calling, and you have the truth in you, it's hard for God's elect to shut up. When we see falsehoods being taught, we will speak up, and we will teach the truth, whether they want to take it or accept it or not. Verse 9. Then said I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in my heart, and a burning fire shut up in my bones. And I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. See, God gave Jeremiah this gift of understanding his word. And when you have a gift of teaching the God's word, you can't contain it. Verse 10. For I heard the defaming of many, fear on every side, report say they, and we will report it. All my familiars watched for my halting, saying, peradventure, or perhaps, he will be enticed, and we shall prevail against him. So just befriend him, and we'll trip him on his words, and we shall take our revenge on him. Verse 11. But the Lord is with me, as a mighty terrible one. Therefore my persecutors shall stumble, 1, and they shall not prevail, 2. They shall be greatly ashamed, 3. They shall not prosper, 4. Their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten, 5. That's grace, because the Lord is with me. 12. But, O Lord of hosts, that triest the righteous, and seest the reins, the emotions, in the mind, in the heart, let me see thy vengeance on them, for unto thee have I opened my cause. See, Jeremiah is saying he's totally committed to teaching God's word. He's like, God, use me. 13. Sing unto the Lord, praise ye the Lord, for he hath delivered the soul of the poor from the hand of evildoers. Sorry, my dog's licking herself. Don't touch God's elect, the anointed. And honestly, you could find this in Revelation chapter 9, verse 4. It's like, sing unto the Lord, praise ye the Lord, for he hath delivered the soul of the poor from the hand of the evildoers. You don't want to touch God's anointed. Chapter 9, verse, I can get it here. Verse 4. And it was commanded them, the locusts, Satan's army, that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads, their brains. So, Satan is not allowed to touch those who have God's truth, the anointed ones, the elect. Jeremiah's basically having a bad day. Some people think verse 14 comes after 7. and on, but I don't. Let's just read it the way it is, because, we all have bad days. 14. Cursed be the day wherein I was born. Let not the day wherein my mother bare me be blessed. Now, does that sound familiar to any of you guys? I picked up on it really fast. He's quoting Job in chapter 3, verse 3. Job chapter 3, verse 3. Let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man-child conceived. See, Job, he, of all the trouble he went through, he never once cursed God, but he did curse the day he was born. And that's kind of what Jeremiah was going by. 15, and back in the book of Jeremiah. Cursed be the man who brought tidings to my father, saying, a man-child is born unto thee, which would be Jeremiah, making him very glad. 16. And let that man be as the cities which the Lord overthrew, and repented not. And let him hear the cry in the morning, and the shouting at noontide. 17. Because he slew me not from the womb, or that my mother might have been my grave, for she would have aborted, and her womb to be always great with me. 18. Wherefore came I forth out of the womb to see labor and sorrow, that my days should be consumed with shame. Yeah, so it is, we all have bad days, and I'm not going to go moving verse 14 in front of 7. I'm going to leave it the way it's written in here. We'll just take it as a bad day. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will get started on chapter 21 hopefully tomorrow. But God bless.